Issues like paid news, election funding, criminalization of politics are challenges faced by our democracy today. And it is high time that we need to address these political and electoral reforms. Association of Democratic Reforms is a democracy watchdog. It has seen 4 Lok Sabha elections, 102 assembly elections, and it's exactly working in this direction, which is the political and economic reforms. Hello and welcome to Nation Talks. It's a Metamorphes initiative, and I'm Preeti Prakash. To talk about what ails our system, which is so much ingrained into us, I have with me a distinguished guest, Major General Anil Verma. He's the head of Association of Democratic Reforms. Welcome, General Verma, to Nation Talks.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to have you on on Nation Talks. There's so much to talk about democratic reforms in our country. The system has stagnated for long. Tell us, General Verma, what democratic reforms, according to you, are required by the country, and what's the malice actually in it?
I wish to firstly thank Metamorphes for inviting me to speak on this topic. And at the outset, I would like to say that the democratic reforms per se is a very wide spectrum of issues, which involves administrative, judicial, police, and electoral and political reforms. But the area of expertise of ADR is restricted to the electoral and political reforms, so I'll stick to that. Because otherwise, I will not be able to speak on the entire spectrum, which is a huge thing. So let me begin by saying that a lot has happened since our independence, and we have come a long way as far as the democracy goes and the strengthening of the democracy by various means. However, over the last few years, there has been a decline in various parameters which are used for measuring democracy or progress, I would say, in our social system, or improvement in our economic parameters and so on. Just to give a little bit of background to that, for example, there has been a decline in the democratic index, the hunger index, the nutrition index, and we have been sliding as per the internationally acknowledged agencies which are doing this. And the other thing is the growing inequality, especially in the matters of money. Like in India, the top 1% richest people control 34% of our nation's assets, which just goes to say the huge inequality which is there in our system. So now coming specifically to the system of electronic reforms and political reforms. Now that again, there is a huge list which has been, sent by the Election Commission of India to the Government of India. There is almost a 40-page list which has been sent by them. And there are so many other agencies like the Law Commission, which from time to time gives their recommendations to the Government of India for various electoral and political reforms. There have been so many committees over the last so many decades, like the Vora Committee report, the Dinesh Goswami report, the review of the Constitution report. But the unfortunate part is they've all been gathering dust. The government and the political government, whichever it is, and the political parties, whichever are the ruling dispensation, have no interest or will in the field of electoral or political reforms. I dare say all the electoral and political reforms that have taken place in our country so far 80% of them have come because of judicial interventions by the Supreme Court or the High Courts on the basis of PILs filed by people. So if I may just list out a few of the electoral reforms which are required. Let me also say that ADR, I mean, I have been working in ADR now for the last 8 years after retirement. And ADR is an organization which is about 22 years old now. It was started by a group of professors from IIM Ahmedabad who were perturbed at the growing criminality in the electoral system. And they filed a PIL in the Delhi High Court, which they won, in which basically they said that people of the country, the common man, the common voter has no idea about the background of the candidates which are put up by the political parties to contest elections. So the matter went to the Supreme Court. All the political parties joined hands and opposed this idea. However, the Supreme Court gave a judgment again in favor of ADR, and it said, and this is a landmark judgment of 2002, in which it said that the common man has a right to know the the background details of the candidates which are put up by the political party. Now, you can imagine the opposition of the parties to the extent that this Supreme Court judgment was discussed in the parliament and all the parties got together and they brought out an ordinance to scrap this Supreme Court judgment. So this was sent to the president. At that time, it was Dr. Abdul Kalam. First time he returned it, but as you're aware, the second time, as is required by the constitution, he had to okay it. That was again challenged by ADR in the Supreme Court, and this time the Supreme Court set aside the ordinance passed by the government, saying that it is unconstitutional. So that is how this filing of the affidavits started. And the affidavit was then framed by the Election Commission of India and the ADR. And that is what has been followed since then. This is a self-sworn legal document, this affidavit which is filed by the political party candidate at the time of election, before the elections. So that is the journey. So our focus, ADR's focus has primarily been on money power and muscle power, because these are the two, I would say, the cancer of our politics. Excessive use of money and excessive criminality existing in the system. So first is the removal of criminality from politics. Then is the complete details of the income of these candidates who contest elections should be declared in the public domain. Third is there is a thing called register of members' interest. Now this has, again, after a lot of efforts by various people and ADR, this was introduced in the Rajya Sabha. Basically what it means is that all the MPs of Rajya Sabha have to declare their business interests so that there is no conflict of interest. And this is open in the public domain so that everybody knows that there is no conflict of interest in the matter of discussion and passing of bills. So this is missing in the Lok Sabha. We have tried our best, but it is just ignored by the Lok Sabha. Ceiling on political party expenditure. As you all are aware that for contesting elections, there is a limit for the Lok Sabha and the state assembly elections, which has recently been hiked just before these elections. For the Lok Sabha now it is 90 lakhs rupees per candidate. And for the state, it is up to 75 lakhs and 58 lakhs for the smaller states. However, the surprising thing is that there is no limit to the expenditure which a political party can do. They can spend any amount, and you are seeing what is happening.
It was really enlightening and informative talking to you, General Verma. Thank you so much for being there with us on Nation Talks. For my viewers, don't forget sharing, liking, subscribing, and pressing the bell icon for more such events, do write to us in our comment section if you want us to bring you more celebrities, personalities like these, and on more issues that we can talk on. We will be happy to bring them to you. Till then, stay safe and stay happy. Thank you so much, General Verma, once again.
Thank you.